Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Prophecy Code Lifestyle Edition. I have Kara Corey on, and I am so excited because she is a longtime friend, and I have been able to just be blessed with your presence in my life. You
Oh,
know, being in person with you for a few years and then just watching you. I feel like I've watched you kind of evolve and grow. So I can't wait to just talk with you.
I know.
So
I love you
welcome,
so
welcome,
much.
welcome. Yes, I'm so excited to have you on. How I know that you said that you are vlogging today.
Yes.
The life of a vlogger. I love that. How is t today going so far with that?
Good, good. Very, very productive day so far. So I feel like my YouTube game has been a little subpar lately. So I've declared 2026. I'm bringing it back to YouTube where it all started for me and really, getting back to that community
Yeah.
because long form content, short form content, like following the trends, I'm just over it. I like long form content. I like to chat. I like to share
Yeah.
my life. So kind of inspired to just get back to it and not really worry about the views and just do what I feel called to. So,
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
So we met in 2016, did you say?
I think that's when we started working together, but I definitely knew of you from the Orton Cup when I was there with MTS Nutrition. I
Yes.
can't recall if I think that was the year you won.
It was before Venna. So Venna was born in 2016. I think that I
Yes.
won in 2014, maybe
It very
2015.
It could have been 2014, 2015. I feel like I was there the year you won.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing you and being just like so impressed with you, and then seeing you throughout the OCB scene. And I think in Syracuse as well, you were
Mhm.
coaching. And I remember seeing you, or not coaching, judging. And I saw
Yeah.
you on the judges panel. And I'm like, that's the woman I need in my life. Like, I want to be a bikini pro, and no shade to any of my former coaches, but
Mhm.
I just felt really called to knowing that I needed more support from a woman and from a
Yeah.
woman's perspective. And there was just something about you that I was like very drawn to, and immediately was like,
Aw.
I need to work with her. And it was the best decision I ever made from
Aw.
a competitor standpoint, from a coaching standpoint.
Thank you. That was like in the very beginning of like my coaching too.
Was
Um,
it?
Oh yeah, because I
Yeah.
did the in-person personal training. I was fitness director, but I wasn't comfortable. You know how everyone has started to do like, oh, now that I'm a pro, I can coach
Yes.
everybody. And I
Yes.
was like, hell no. Like that's
Yeah.
not my vibe. I know what it's like to go through this whole thing, and I need to know that I'm confident in like taking someone's life in
I
my
feel
hands
that. Yeah.
and not just like their body but their mind too. So
Right.
it took me a while to actually commit to saying like, okay, I could do this. Like this is something I
Yeah.
want to do. Um, and when you reached out, I was like, shut the front door. Like I remember being, I think that was when I like really started to get into the fitness industry and I was like starstruck by like Doug Miller and
Yeah.
like if bodybuilding pros came to the gym, I'd be like, that's a pro. And like now I'm like, okay, it's a person, it's a human. But during that time, I remember saying to my coach, like, oh my gosh, like, what do I say? What Kara Corey reached out to me.
Oh my gosh,
What
I
do
did
I
not know
say?
that.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know this story.
I was like, play it cool. Just play it cool. Like just play it cool. And and then I remember you coming too. Like you were like, I think I'm gonna come go to your posing class, like go to the posing
Yes.
seminar, stay at your house. And I was like, Matt, to my husband, she's gonna come to my house. Like, what do I? He was like, she's a woman. Like she's just a human being. Like just
Yeah.
treat her like a human. And I was like,
Aw.
okay, okay. But yeah, I was totally starstruck. I mean, because at that point, you were deep into your YouTube, right?
Yeah, my YouTube was definitely like, it wasn't as saturated at that time with bodybuilding and fitness. So I definitely had a lot of eyes, a lot of views on my channel with those videos. Like, I think I filmed a posing video in
Yes.
one of your seminars, and it's got like a stupid amount of views. I mean, some of it's just
What?
nasty dudes, but like, no, a lot of views. There was a lot of competitors, a
Yeah,
lot of women looking for that information. It wasn't as accessible at the time.
right, right. How did you want to start that? Or like fitness for you? Walk me through when it really started and then how it shifted and brought you to wanting to compete.
Oh my gosh. So fitness for me, I'll try to keep it short. It's been such a long journey as a young girl. I think I was very interested in fitness, not necessarily for the right reasons. I think from seeing my mom diet and work out so much, it was just something I became hyper focused on. Differences between my sister and I growing
Yeah.
up. My sister struggled with her weight. I was just a very tiny, petite thing. And that was something always highly commented on. So I think subconsciously that story became ingrained in me like it's important to be small. Your body, how you look is very important. And so that became a very strong narrative for me
Yeah.
that I think influenced me to jump into fitness and care about it at a younger age. So it was like 14 or 15, I joined a gym. I was like,
Okay.
I want to work out, like I want to be fit. And so I was like a gym rat all through high school. Didn't do a ton in sports. Like I just didn't really fit into the sports group. So I kind of got more into the gym, not necessarily knowing what I was doing per se. Got to college, still I worked at a gym, did what, my lifts at the time, got into marathon training, and that was my big fitness focus for the majority of my 20s.
Okay.
That was my main goal was like marathon running. I just became addicted to it. I loved it. Set some goals in that area that I achieved. And once I achieved those goals, I was kind of like, huh, what's next? And this was like probably later 20s. This is when Jason got really focused on wanting to, build more muscle for himself.
Okay.
So we joined a local gym that had a professional bodybuilder, Jeremy Freeman. At the time, his gym was called Well Rounded, and he, transformed people's lives. And I remember thinking, like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. And so Jason signed up and I did too. And that's when I really fell in love and learned how to lift weights and what that really meant from like a bodybuilder perspective. And it wasn't like something I ever thought about with competing until I really saw how cool it was to see how your body changes and to be so super focused on what you eat and how that impacts everything you do. Even though I was a dietitian, it was still, not that it was lost on me, but when you go into that bodybuilder level, it's so different. The level of just accuracy with everything you do, and you see
Yeah.
how it impacts your every move. So that's when I was like, huh, bikini competitions were starting to come
Yeah.
around in like 2014, I want to say.
Yeah.
I think so. I think around then, like, I mean, they were around, but like becoming more popular.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, yeah, no, maybe it was 2012 I did my first bikini competition. It was a long time.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
long time ago, but that's when I first got the itch. I was like, why not? Let me try. And
Yeah.
there was a group of people at my gym that were gonna do bodybuilding. So I'm like, sure, why not? Having absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into, I kind of just went
Jumped
for
in.
it, and it
Yeah.
I competed for a total of 5 years, so it certainly evolved from 2012 to 2017 when I last
Good.
competed with you. um but yeah, that was quite the era.
Yeah. How do you feel that the narrative of like stay small, like small is praised, do you think that that ever shifted for you, or has that, or do you think that it was not really, I guess, like explored more and only reinforced almost not intentionally, but through the patterns and through the habits that you started to kind of develop? Or
Mm.
did you take a look at it and you really like exposed it and you were like, why do I hold on to this narrative?
I think a combination of both, Danica.
Yeah.
Like, certainly, I think, you know, I'm not that person that doesn't compete anymore, that talks ill of competing. Like that was such a beautiful part of my story and part of me growing as a person, and I learned so much. I do think some of that reinforced a lot of
Yeah.
negative behaviors or pulled out negative behaviors and things within me that I didn't understand why existed at the time, that kind of that era exposed that for me.
Right.
And so I think it was a lot of self-exploration after competing and really taking a good step away from just continuing to occupy and distract myself with these high-level goals and kind of just sit in myself and my life and be like, okay, why do I feel this way? Where does this come from? Why is this important? And really kind of break that down a bit more and explore who I was outside of all that and really taking the time I needed to really better learn who I was, which can sound weird because I was in my 30s. However, you
Yeah.
know, so it's never too late. I think I lived in a world of like easily distracting myself with some of those goals as much as I enjoyed them all. It didn't allow me to fully reflect to
Mm.
where some of my own shit came from, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
Yeah. To sometimes just sit in the discomfort, I think a lot of times, especially for like high performers or go-getters, the second, and I see this often with like type A high performers, like people who are very, very active and really just set the bar really high for themselves. The second
Yeah.
that they start to have like a lull in
Yes.
life where they start to feel like, oh, this is an interesting feeling. I don't like it. Let's do the next thing or let's do the next great thing. And
Hmm.
that's how they almost like deflect.
Yeah.
And instead of facing that thing
Yeah.
that like is resurfacing, is like, hello, I'm still
Yes.
here.
Yep.
Then it's like a huge deflecting act. And they get really good at it, really good at it. And it's a beautiful kind of mask almost that they can put on too, because from the outside looking in, you're amazing at what you do. I'm not saying you, I'm saying like the
Right.
performers, right? Like
Right.
you are crushing life. So why
Right.
would anyone say to you, "Hey, are you okay?" Right?
Exactly.
Like it
Yeah.
doesn't look like anything is not okay. You're crushing
Exactly.
life. So it's interesting I've seen that trend often play out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you
It's funny you say that
go
because I
ahead?
remember we did the podcast, I think after my first show with you and
Yeah.
Christy,
Yeah.
and you just unplugged my light, boo. And I remember saying something to both of you like, I don't know what to do after this. Like I had that panic of who am I? What am I going to do? Who am I
Ah,
going to be if I'm not competing? And I remember kind of talking that through with both of you, but
yeah.
still it was like in my mind, it was hard for me to see who I was outside of the stage, outside of having a lean physique or working towards that actively, because
Yeah.
a big part of when I grew on social media was due to competing. It was due to showing like how to get lean, how to be a competitor. So in my mind, I was like, well, who are you if you're not doing those things? And I
Right.
couldn't really figure out and that's why I think I did kind of just keep at it show after
Yeah.
show when I probably should have been taking some more breaks, allowing my body to reset, all of that stuff that we do now. But at the time, I was just continuing to compete, I think, a bit because I didn't know who I was or if I was relevant to have this following, if I was deserving of it, if I wasn't doing that thing. So to your point, yeah, I think I was that person. I'm always that person that can look like I'm slaying it, but yeah, sometimes you got to check in on your queens because
Oh my
we're good
God,
at keeping distracted, but sometimes we need someone to check in on us and be like, "Are you really okay?"
100%. Yeah. Did you ever have a conversation with your mom about the impact that perhaps her involvement in like dieting? I've had conversations with my mom that are just like
Mm,
woman to woman
yeah.
conversation. in our adult lives, where in retrospect, there were a lot of little things that she did that she didn't know was kind of, filtering into the tapestry of my mind and my life and my habits. And as an adult, like 41 years old now, I can have a grown-up conversation with her. But have you ever done that?
I haven't, it's interesting because it's nothing I've hid from, and I do talk about openly, or I've shared
Yeah.
openly when people tend to ask these questions, but it's never something I really sat down and had a conversation with her about. And I do think it was multifaceted. It was a combination of, watching her chronically diet, watching her, be very weight focused, and then also the just that huge difference between how my sister and I were treated at this
Yeah.
time,
Mm,
and how other people, family members, random strangers, just, at the time, I can see it now as an adult. I can see it very clearly, but at the time, I don't think I really understood it as much and how it was impacting me. But to your question, I've never had that conversation with my mom, and I think I fear she's so sensitive.
yeah.
And even though I know she was doing her best, and I would,
Yeah.
I had an incredible childhood, and I would never judge that because,
Yeah.
the older you get, you also realize your parents, although we see them as superhuman, you get to that point in your life where you're like, oh my God, they're so human, just like us, trying to
Yes.
figure out their
Yeah.
own stuff. Like they don't know any
Absolutely.
better than we do. Now in our
Right.
40s, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did my parents manage? You're doing it, multiple kids and all these things. I'm like, as a childless, adult, I'm like, just how are you all doing it? Are you all okay? That's so much to keep other humans alive and, take care of your own self. But no, I have never had that
Yeah.
conversation with her. She's so sensitive, and I would hate to make her feel like she did something wrong. I think that's why
Mm,
I've never
yeah.
really approached that. And I think I also take ownership of it too, because,
Hmm.
I moved out at 17 and I worked and I lived with my boyfriend, and I kind of grew up really fast on my own desires. And I
Yeah.
think I had a lot of time that I could have really maybe dove into that a bit more on my own, but I don't know. Also, the world was different back then, right? When you think
Yeah.
about early 2000s and diet culture
Of course.
and
Yeah.
how we look at people and talk about people, I think the world has changed in a positive way in that regard.
I
So, yeah,
agree.
maybe I was just like a late bloomer. I don't know.
Yeah. I do feel too, we just know a lot more. Like you don't
Yeah.
know what you don't know. And I think
Yeah.
that now something, and I'm sure that you feel this too, and I want to talk about like your how you feel. You have a huge responsibility. You are like a mother figure to a lot of younger women, and also I would say 40s, 50s, 60s, like everything.
Hmm.
But I think that it just wasn't known the impact of saying all like the little things like because I can see it culturally too and also generationally
Hmm.
if I have to kind of say, oh, we don't say that around my kiddos, or like we
I
don't have
bet.
to like little things that they just don't pick up on that we know so
Yeah.
much more now that we pick
Yeah.
up on those things, which is a beautiful thing. We're just more aware. And
Yeah.
that was something I had to kind of remind my mom because she would say little things because of what she was raised in, but like even seeing my kiddos and she'd be like, you just ate, you're not hungry. What are you trying to be a little piggy? And like, that's like a
Yeah,
joking
that
thing,
stuff.
right? Like it's a joking thing. The
Yes.
intention is not a negative thing, right? But the impact, we are aware now
Right.
of the impact that can carry for
Yes.
little ears that are listening, right? And educating my mom about that. Um, I wonder if it would be different the reason why I had that conversation with mom because I have two little girls. So I was like, hey, let's talk about this.
No,
But it
I
was
was
like,
just thinking
yeah,
that as you were saying it, I'm like, you know what? If I think if there was language there like that, I certainly would have a
right.
conversation.
Yeah, exactly. How do you feel being in? I guess, the spotlight. And so you're a huge influence for a lot of people. Do you feel that sometimes that gets heavy? Um, or do you just go with the flow of it and you're like, okay, it is what it is. If you take this information and you distort it in your mind, that's on you.
Yeah. I wish I was consistent in this answer. Because I think
Yeah.
it depends on the day and how much
Yeah.
in my own head I am. But you know, I there was a period of time where it was so hard for me to show up on social media because I felt like if I said I'm eating toast today, I'd have to give 800 nuances to why toast is okay or maybe not okay for you, or maybe you have to
Mm,
moderate the portion and just on and on and on. And I was like, no one, this is too much. You know, I was trying
yeah.
to kind of think about anyone that would try to fight me over what I might say about food or
Right.
nutrition. And that just doesn't make for good content, nor does it feel authentic to me. So
Yeah.
I have tried to kind of pull myself out of that narrative and just really focus on I am who I am, and I feel I'm in a place where I'm very comfortable with the nutrition principles I teach. And look, I don't feel I'm the most polarizing person. And I think that's what does really well on social media.
Yeah.
If you come out here with these harsh opinions and these strong, controversial topics, like that's what really pops off. And that's what does well because it looks like you're really speaking from your chest. And I have those feelings, but I'm just not a controversial person. Like I
Yeah.
am the person that can see things from so many different sides. I don't know if it's the Libra in me, but I'm always like I'm just always open to changing my opinions on things or meeting people with where they're at.
Yeah.
So I've just learned that I just speak to what feels good for me. And if that doesn't resonate with someone, that's okay. I'm
Right.
not going to be for everyone. And that's something that I've continued to learn and be okay with the older I get, that it's okay that I'm not for everyone. It's okay that not everyone likes me. I no longer have the energy to try to show up and please everyone. It's just too
Yeah.
exhausting, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that that took time also from a business angle? Do you think that, like, in the very beginning, it's more difficult to be really, really authentic because you're trying to kind of set the stage for yourself and get the people to follow you. And then as you have it and you've accomplished it, it's easier to expand.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it definitely, I think it's easier now, to be honest, than
Um,
probably kind of thinking back the past 10 years or so that I've been on social media, longer than that. But, really seeing dietitians in our space has evolved. And I mean,
yeah,
the world has changed. So it's really changed how we do business in every profession. But, prior to 2020 and 2016, it was like kind of unheard of to have dietitians online giving advice.
right, right.
And I think, I could have tapped into that a lot more, a lot better, and really had a lot more growth if I was more confident in who I was and what my values were and what I stood for.
Yeah,
Fortunately, I wasn't at that time. I had a lot of limiting beliefs that I still challenge myself with
yeah,
all the time, but um, it was hard to not be victim to like follow the trends as well
yeah,
that
yeah,
online between you have to eat this way or no, you have to eat that way. Now you have to be body positive. And
right.
it kind of felt like if you weren't fitting into those boxes, then you kind of needed to stay quiet. So that was always at that time, that was hard for me to navigate. If
Yeah,
it was the person I am now back then, I would be so much more clear and outspoken about how I feel and what I stand for. But at the time, it was just, I was kind of tiptoeing around
yeah,
like what's okay to say and do. And
yeah,
now I'm just like, "Nah, I'm doing me. And I know my code of ethics and I know what I feel
yes,
comfortable with. And unfortunately, dietitians, I think people are well aware, like we're not all a united front. Everyone still
um,
has differing thoughts and opinions, and even when it comes to the science and what the
right.
Academy of Dietetics tells us to, practice, like we're also, it's so divided. So
Yeah,
I've just
yeah,
learned to just, worry about me and
yeah,
focus on myself versus what other, dietitians are doing and
right,
saying and just
right.
feeling comfortable in that.
Yeah. I love that. Something that made me think of it. You, I think you did like a YouTube or you did a post about like almost like fit shaming and body positivity, but then fit shaming and like you can still you can be a lean, healthy individual and still want to have goals. Like you don't have to have permission for everyone else. Like, okay, am I okay to set this goal for myself even though I might be still
Yes,
fairly lean? Oh my gosh, that spoke to me so much because I was like, why does that even happen? And I loved that you were like, I'm done. Like if
I'm
I
so.
want to tighten up a little bit,
hmm
yeah, this is where I'm starting, and it's okay.
I hate that. Nothing boils my blood more. And that is something that I'm like, I will die on this hill. That just because you look at me and think she's got it easy, she doesn't have any issues because she fits the healthy criteria of a BMI, doesn't minimize how I feel in my body. It doesn't minimize any struggles I've
Yes.
had. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like there was this large period of time that if you were privileged, if you will, to be in a thin body. It was kind of the narrative I feel like on social media.
Yes.
You weren't allowed to complain, is kind of how
Yeah.
I felt. And so
Yeah.
I just, and I would get people that would leave those comments, girl, you're so thin, you're always dieting. And I'm like, number one, no, I am not always dieting. You don't
Yeah.
know my life. You don't know what I eat. You don't know my
Yeah.
all of my things, you know? And so yeah, I got to the point where I'm like, I'm just so sick of this. I'm sick of being afraid to be excited and talk about going into a cut. Like I love to do a summer cut once a year. I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything wrong with that. Do I have a huge amount of weight I need to lose? No, but I'm someone who's very goal oriented and
Yeah.
that gets me excited. It
Yeah.
gets me excited in the winter to focus on strength and
Yeah.
metabolic recovery and up my calories slightly. And then in the summertime, I love to do a cut. And you know
Right.
what? I'm not going to be afraid to talk about it. And if that
Right.
makes you feel some kind of way, then maybe you shouldn't consume my content, or maybe you should ask yourself why that makes you feel so
Right.
uncomfortable. You
Right.
know, I'm not
Oh my
saying
God.
everyone's projecting, but like you do have to ask yourself why does it make you uncomfortable
Right.
that I want to lose a few pounds to feel better about myself or to see how lean I can get? Why is that a problem for
Why
people?
is that a problem? Yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's with good intention, like if it's healthy intention, it wasn't like you were like, I can't wait to just not eat. Like,
Right.
you had good intention behind it,
Yeah.
or like a healthy mindset and approach to it. Yeah, I feel that that is something I have to remind some of my clients about too when they're like, oh, but I can't tell anybody about my goals because like I'm the only one that's fit in my family. And if I tell them
Yes.
that I want to get fitter, and I'm like,
Yes.
celebrate your goals, like do
Yes.
you. And that is on them, how they
Yep.
choose to interpretate, how they choose to absorb that information. They need to work that out. And if they
Correct.
genuinely care, they'll ask more questions. Like,
Right.
they'll be curious about it instead of judgmental.
Right. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
that. I've heard that as well with a lot of clients. Like I'm the like smaller, healthier one of
Right.
the group. Like no one's gonna support me going through this
Yes.
phase. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if you want to shift to a higher level of who you are,
Yeah.
you may lose some people in that process, and we have to
Right.
be okay with that. We know our surroundings are a big part of how we show up every day. And
Yeah.
if you're surrounding yourself with a bunch of people who want to keep you the same and don't support you leveling
Right.
up, then are those really the best of friends for you?
Right. Exactly.
So I know that's not
Exactly.
an easy thing for a lot of people to dive into, but
It's
I
not.
fully agree with you. Like, we have to be okay with celebrating our goals and what we want to achieve. And
Yeah.
there's going to be people that don't understand it. There will always be people that
Yes.
don't understand it. And you can't let those people dictate how you show up,
Right.
you know?
100%. So what's interesting is that I know you share your weight and your height and everything. You're around stage weight. You've been around stage weight.
Ish.
Isn't that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that a little crazy?
I think that's the thing. I feel like I have a lot more muscle now. I could be
Yes.
Delulu, but I feel like it did my body so good to not be chronically like fighting myself with this back and forth
Yeah.
where, I struggled and I share openly after turning pro, like really struggled with my food intake, really started binge eating. That was a really scary time for me, a
Yeah.
really shameful time for me. And I just had this back and forth with food in my body that I didn't really allow myself long enough, I think, to just focus on good maintenance calories
Yeah.
and getting really strong and just having a healthier mindset about everything and really diving into that.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's been good for me now. Geez, it's been almost 10 years since I've competed.
Right.
Um, but also I think with changing my career, with letting go of a job I held on to for my entire career for like nearly 17 years,
Wild.
um, that shed a lot of stress for me. And I want to be very clear in my messaging here that just because you're stressed, it doesn't mean you gain weight. Like I think some people are like, I'm so stressed out. Like you don't just
Yeah.
like gain weight. Just, I'm not saying hormonal impacts can't be there, right? But I take full responsibility that I worked in a job for so long that I was lying to myself with how happy I was. And, I definitely just didn't, I still would lean to food sometimes for
Mm.
dopamine hits
Yeah.
or, like things like that. And so I just feel like I couldn't really lean into the healthiest version of myself when 60 hours of my week felt very toxic and
Yeah.
consuming. And I take responsibility for that. But I think that was like a big shift for me was like leaving that behind and really exploring a life that fulfills me.
Yeah. What what was like the straw that broke the camel's back?
Oh, there was a lot of straws. I think
There was a whole hay, there was a whole hay barrel. Like
there was a whole freaking farm, Danica. Um, no, I think, a big thing for me when I look back was like I turned 39 years old and I was not worried about turning 40, but there was something really beautiful about knowing that I was going to turn 40 and this kind of what this power of this number held over me was
Yeah.
great because it changed the trajectory of my life so far, but I just felt like you're 39 years old, Kara. You're about to turn 40 and you continue to be unhappy in this job. So you need to make a decision. By the
Yeah.
time you're 40, you need to just decide that you've reached your set point here, and either you're going to fully embrace this job and be so happy about it and change your freaking attitude so you're
Mm.
not bitter about it, or you're going to shift and do something else. But one of the two things need to happen.
Yeah.
And I think in that final year there, I worked about 2 years without a boss, like during the pandemic. And when I got a new boss and really realized just how much I was doing up above and beyond what I needed to be doing
Ah.
was a bit exhausting, and healthcare in general was just it's tough out there. I'm sure it's not any better now, but it was very challenging with the lack
Yeah.
of staff, do more with less attitude in terms of money, in terms of resources. It was exhausting and I just felt so unhappy. And it just felt like as a manager, although I really pride myself that I was a really good manager and I've gained so much knowledge and skills that have transformed me as a person, even in my career path now, I didn't love it. It was exhausting managing people who I agree were underpaid, but were also entitled. And I just
Yeah.
felt so misaligned with that environment and what I was doing. And I always said I'll never be that person that becomes a disgruntled New York State employee.
Yeah.
And that was exactly who I became. I was so
Uh,
unhappy. Jason would see it when I'd come home. It wasn't like I could even act like it wasn't impacting me. It was impacting my entire being. So, that there was a lot of that with the pressure of turning 40 and just kind of
yeah.
telling myself, you have to make a decision. I
Yeah.
very much was that person that felt like someone's going to come to save me.
Yeah.
Someone's going to come and give me an opportunity. Someone's going to show me the way. Someone's going to tell me this is exactly what you should be doing in your life. And that's just that's not reality. And
Yeah.
I needed that reality check for myself, and I needed to just grow a set, if you will, and make a big
Mhm.
girl decision. And
Yeah.
so I kind of just pushed myself into it.
That is wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what a beautiful decision that was, right? Scary,
Yeah.
but also
It
scary in an exciting way almost.
Well, that was just it. I think for me, the tipping point was, you know, there's always going to be fear, and we're always scared
Yeah.
of being fearful. But to me, the fear of never believing in myself
Mm.
was more scary
Yeah.
than not trying. And I think that's where
100%.
it like finally teeter-tottered for me, where I was like, sure, this job looks great on paper. It looks super safe and comfy. You've got the locked-in pension. You can retire at 55. Everyone in my job was like, "Girl, you would be crazy to walk out of here, with the career path you set up for yourself." But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not fulfilled. I don't love what I do, and I could die tomorrow. And that is how I want to live my life. Like, I don't want to live my life to retire, like
Yeah.
in that mindset where I worked with so many people that would retire and then die 2 years later. Not trying
Oh,
to be morbid,
yeah.
but it's
No, but
just
yeah. Yeah.
those were the things that I kind of took into, consideration with it
Yeah.
all.
Absolutely. In Vermont, I was doing personal training, but then I was a school social worker at an alternative high school. And I remember both of them offered me full-time positions.
Hmm.
And I was doing part-time both. And I was so just distraught, like with what
Yeah.
am I gonna do? I got my master's in social work, like, but I
Hmm.
love fitness. And one of the gentlemen, he was a math teacher at the high school, he was like, when you go home and you see your family and they're like, how's work going? What do you talk about the most? And I was like, fitness. Like I talk about my clients and I talk about going to the gym. And he was like, I think you answered your question. And that was so impactful for me. Like I will always remember that because I never want to get to a place where I'm not talking or I'm not sharing about what I'm doing in my life because I'm not that excited about it.
I love that. That's huge. I think that makes so much sense. I share similar feelings. I didn't have someone say it to me in that way, but the one thing I noticed is every time someone asked me how my job was going, it made me sick to my stomach.
Ah, yes.
So it was like
Yeah.
I'd go home and see my parents or Jason's parents, and they'd be like, "How's work?" And I'm like, "Can you not ask me that?" Like I would almost be
Mm,
snappy,
yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
I was not excited about what I was
Right.
doing, nor did I want to talk about it.
Right.
Um, so I feel that it's like if you're not excited about what you're doing,
And what are you doing?
what are you doing? It takes a toll on you
Right.
for sure.
It does. And you were just, I mean, before this, you were talking about just the environment that we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes we do have this fear of like, but what if it doesn't work? But
Hmm.
also, what if it works out really well?
What
And
if it does? Yeah.
yeah, what a great, it also impacts all the other parts of you, right? I'm sure that
Hmm.
being stuck in that career or being in a career where yes, you have passion for it, but you're losing your passion a little bit, like you're not expressing your passion
Right.
to the degree that like you actually want to be able to, and it will impact your health, the way you sleep, the way you interact with like your workouts, your nutrition, your relationships around you. It really kind of has this like trickling effect on everything around you. Did you notice that by like releasing that environment without you actually doing like any like CBT or like exposure therapy, you just fell it back into a good rhythm with things?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. I feel like I got back to who I am as a person. And I
Mm.
didn't even realize that I had somewhat lost that
Yeah.
throughout that process. And, other people around me noticed it too. Like I'm not saying like on the internet, but like in real life, people were like, you just seem so much happier. Whereas
Yeah.
before, I think there was always this like layer of dread in me of like having to go to work,
Yeah.
beyond the Sunday scaries. Like even if I went on a trip or had an opportunity, I always had that little bit of like dread and also feeling like I couldn't fully be who I wanted to be because I was working a hospital administrative government title. But then also I'm on the internet doing athletic wear
Yeah.
reviews and sharing my life. And I always kept those two things very separate because I didn't want it used against me in the workplace. But I feel like that definitely made me lose a bit of who I was as a
Mm.
person, you know? So being able to let go of that,
Yeah.
I, it was the scariest decision I ever made, and I've literally never regretted it once or looked back from it.
Yeah.
Best
That's
decision I could have
amazing.
ever made, even
Yeah.
if it doesn't all work out, like you said, it's like so, I mean, it could.
Good.
And
Right.
if it doesn't, like as you have too, like we both still have degrees, we're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
skilled clinicians,
Right.
and like I feel confident in who I am as a worker and as a person that if I need to make money, I'll figure it out. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. You're that go-getter. So speaking of like, I feel that you also probably were a little bit suffocated by your job and weren't able to fully expand like
yeah,
in all the areas that you wanted to be able to because you just didn't have the capacity to. And
right.
also you had a little bit of like almost like a ball and chain that was like,
Hmm.
you can't really do that. Um,
Yes,
talk to
exactly.
me about all of the I guess, collaboration. So I was trying to think back of things. I was like, oh my gosh, didn't she have her own like supplement company? And like,
I
didn't
did.
she,
I
didn't
did for a
she
period of
do
time.
so many things?
Hmm.
Yeah, walk me through, I
Wild.
guess, collaborations you've been involved with. And then now, like you are surrounding yourself with like now you're able to really spread your wings, right?
Yeah.
And now you
Yeah,
don't have your ball and chain is your own that you create. You are only suffocated by what you put on your plate. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a valid point. There were so many things weighing on me in that job, but that was definitely one of them too, where I felt like I'm seeing opportunities come my way and from
Yeah.
different people. And there was a level of fear in me and limiting beliefs that I didn't think I had what it took to
Mhm.
be able to fully take the leap into my own stuff. And that is part of what propelled me a little bit. I was like, why do other people keep seeing something in me? This can't just be luck. This can't just be coincidence, because that was the story I would tell myself.
Ah,
And
yeah.
like there has to be some I gotta be kind of okay, you know what I mean? Like I gotta start growing some confidence here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was 2014 or earlier that when I started working with Mark Lobliner and
Yeah.
MTS Nutrition. At the time, I also worked with a brand, P28 Foods. They were
Yes.
local. They're not around anymore either, but like
Yes.
I had gotten that at the time, that was like the dream on social media, right? It was like,
Absolutely.
how do I get sponsored, you know?
Yes.
And I remember like people asking me like, how'd you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I think YouTube was huge and a lot of
Yeah.
people weren't doing YouTube at the time. I fortunately was because of Jason, my husband,
Yeah.
knowing the editing side of things,
Mhm.
knowing the filming side of things. I take no credit for that. He pushed me to do the YouTube. So definitely a lot of what I have or have done, I owe to him and his belief in me and his assistance. But those were the two big sponsorships I had
Yeah.
at the time. And I worked with Mark with MTS Nutrition for a long time. I think I worked with him through gosh, I don't even know when I ended that partnership. I want to say maybe 2019, 2020. We worked together a long time, and he afforded me so many opportunities between going to the expos with him
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we did do a supplement line. We
Yes.
ended up yeah, we had Fitburn it was called, and it because it had RD on there, they actually sent a lawsuit in. So we had to change like you
Oh.
can't say dietitian on there like it was a thing. So
Okay.
ended up going to Provitum Nutrition, and it was more of like
Yeah.
a plant-based kind of like health company.
Yeah.
Like we had turmeric and CBD like hemp product, things like that. So
Yeah.
that was a really cool opportunity working with Mark. And yeah, so we did that for for a while, and I started working with Buff Bunny collection, like I kind of started doing the fitness activewear reviews. I had said to Jay
Yeah.
at the time, I'm like, I don't know, I'm seeing like activewear reviews come up and I want to try it out. And he's like, I don't know. So I'll take credit for this idea. I'm like, let's just try it and see what
Yeah.
happens. And that's when I did like Gymshark and Buff
Yes.
Bunny and a few other brands. And Buff Bunny was that brand really spoke to me, and
Mhm.
I got to know Heidi Summers and become friends with her first and foremost, and just really love the brand and have worked with them since like 2017. I became friends with Heidi 2016, 2017. I want to say I've been with the brand since they started their affiliate program in 2018. So
And that friendship, did that evolve through social media initially?
it did, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like watching her channel,
Yeah.
and I don't know if she necessarily watched mine or not, but I know I had reached out to her a couple times on socials because she has a bunch of food allergies, and she was
Oh,
talking about like her journey with like an
God.
elimination diet and trying to figure out if she can add those foods back in. So we started corresponding back and
Yeah.
forth, and Jason was like, you should shoot your shot and see if she wants to collab. At the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
people collabed. And I was like, nah, that's weird. No one's gonna want to like hang out with a stranger. So I messaged her and she was like, oh yeah, no, you should come down. You can just stay with me. And I'm like, I'm a stranger. Like I could be a total weirdo. Um, but she's just as nice and, as genuine as she
Yeah.
is online in real life. And so yeah, we became friends first through
Yeah.
social media and
And
yeah,
that has just taken off. That collaboration has been
yeah.
amazing for you because now you have the Grounds app. Um,
Yes.
and how did that come to exist?
Yep, that came to exist. So it was 2023 was like a really big year for me. That was the year that I quit my job. And also, I had my own collaboration with Buff Bunny Collection. So I had my
Wow.
own collection that came out in the fall of 2023. And then that winter, the winter before, was it 2022? I don't know, the years get mixed up, but she had reached out to me about being one of the trainers for Grounds app.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's such a cool opportunity. Like I
Yeah.
had never really thought about doing a fitness app. It wasn't something I wanted to do on my own, but she wanted to have different individuals with different expertise on the app. So I was like, oh my God, that's an amazing opportunity. And it has provided me with so many opportunities that I'm really passionate about. So it's been just a really, really great opportunity to be involved with the things that actually fill up your cup and
Yeah.
make you feel that don't feel like work. Do you know what I mean? Like it,
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
That's amazing. So
yeah.
all throughout this, you're 41, right? You're same as
I'm
me.
42. Yep.
Oh, you're 1 year older.
Yeah, I got you beat.
You got me beat.
I'm old enough to
Um,
be your mom.
um, how has that been? Do you feel that perimenopause is something that you're like, is this not? Because sometimes I look and I'm like, okay, where's that energy? Can I please have some? And maybe after she's done recording, she like passes out on the ground and she's like, and I'm done.
It's all
How
the
is
ghost
that?
lifestyle energy drinks I drink.
I was just gonna say that. Maybe it's all the ghost energy drinks. How has that been? Like in now that you're in your 40s, obviously you have spoke about like this is amazing. And I actually feel that too. I feel like physically this is and that's wild to say, but I feel like it's the best I've ever looked. And
I feel that.
as a 41-year-old, like I'm like, oh, okay. Like this is pretty fucking cool. Like I will take this.
Yeah.
And I also have felt perimenopause creeping in and me being like, okay, here we are.
I always wonder if it's any different for the fact that you have children and I haven't, how
Oh,
how
oh yeah,
those, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I mean, obviously
yeah,
you got a lot more on your plate, but I wonder in terms of like perimenopause and the hormonal shifts, like
yeah,
how obviously it hits everyone a bit different. I don't necessarily feel like I've felt that
yeah.
just yet. I know my sister's 45 and she definitely feels it. Like,
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she definitely feels it. Whereas I'm like, I don't know that
You don't have any changes.
I don't feel
Yeah.
like I have any changes. But I'm sure it could happen. Yeah, I feel like my energy is the best it's ever been, but
That's awesome.
I mean, that's compared to my past life there, but I anticipate the midlife stuff. I will say the one thing that definitely is a change for me, and whether or not this is perimenopause or just this transition of my life, is I definitely struggle at nighttime with sleeping. Like I'm a very
Mm.
anxious person at nighttime. That's not something I ever used to deal with.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like I can fall asleep, and then if I wake up, all of a sudden I'm like, and I'm just like, my
Yeah.
heart's racing, and all of a sudden my mind starts going, and I don't even know what it's going on about. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder if that's a little bit of that, or if it's just subconsciously things I'm stressed about that I'm
Or
not
things. Yeah.
unpacking.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel that, well, mommyhood, parenthood is definitely, I know that that impacts the way that my nervous system is regulated or lack
Yeah,
thereof.
yeah,
And I also think that it impacted my hormones, right? Like there were a lot of
yeah,
hormonal shifts that happened
right,
where it would be like interesting to talk to women who are of the same age, haven't had babies and have had babies, and what they're feeling if
right,
if they are noticing anything, and if
right.
you are more susceptible to like early onset of it
I
if you've had
wonder.
kids, right? Because your hormones are like, oh man, like I don't know about this. Like, yeah, that's an
Right.
interesting question.
What symptoms have you felt?
Oh God. Um, Night sweats, like extreme night
Okay.
sweats. 2 years ago, I started having like or maybe three heart palpitations.
Mm,
That like didn't make any sense. Like I would be sitting down watching TV with Matt, and all of a sudden I'd be like, well, that's an interesting little flutter. But then it
mm.
stayed persistent, and then I was having like really bad cold spells. Like my entire body would get like ice
Oh,
cold, and I could not warm up. Like it felt like my insides. Like I kept telling my mom, like, inside is cold, mom. Like my brain is cold. And she's like, oh, baby girl, like I know what that feels like. And those are your hormones. I'm like, no, it can't
no.
be. And then I
Mm,
think the big shift was my like inability to regulate my nervous system as well as I have been before.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I would have loved to contribute that to, oh, well, the girls are busier, or like work has been busier, but I've navigated busy. I've been busier before. Like I
right,
have been extremely busy before.
right,
I've done wild preps before and have like directed like a fitness company. So
right.
I've done the busy before. It was something different. And
Yeah.
I actually had panic attacks, and that was, I
Wow.
didn't know that they were panic attacks. I thought they were just these, I thought it was heart. I was like, here, my mind went to like health anxiety. And I was like, I'm dying.
Yeah.
This is it. Here
This
we
is
go.
it for me.
This is it. It's been nice knowing all of you. But um then when I started to really break it down, I was like, wow, like this sounds and feels exactly like a panic attack would. So, and then like researching, because my mom said, girl, I think like this is perimenopause for you.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that those are all symptoms. And yeah, so I did start on, I got my hormones tested and have been looking more into HRT, and started on actually testosterone. And
Okay.
that, because my testosterone is a 3, my
Yeah,
total.
I have like no test. I have and I will start it when the time comes, but because
Yes,
I haven't had any like negative symptoms,
right,
I
right.
haven't, but like I will be on that so fast
Yes,
when
yes,
I need to.
100%. I was like, listen, I can navigate a lot, but like if I have the opportunity to navigate something very well informed and making sure that I'm supporting my body the best that I can,
Exactly.
then I'm going to choose that. I'm not just going to like trudge through the mud and try to get by. Like that's
Like
not,
we don't have to anymore. I
we
think
don't have
that's what's
to.
like
Yes.
incredible about, and there's so much more information coming out still,
Yes.
but I think that's what's so amazing about learning more about perimenopause. That was not something we talked about
No.
50, even
Yeah.
15 years ago or when I was
Yeah.
in college. Even speaking with my mom, I'm like, what were your symptoms? She's like, I don't think I really had any. And I'm like,
Mm.
no, you weren't aware
You weren't aware of it.
of what was going on. And now that
Right.
we know as women, we don't have to just accept
Right.
having no estrogen and no testosterone and just
Yeah.
feeling all these negative side effects. Like I love that we're getting better informed about women's health. We're still so behind the times, I think, but it
Yeah.
is so nice that I think that we can explore this now and have those opportunities.
Yeah. Have you, one of the questions Christy sent in was, what do you think about this like skinny trend versus
Mm.
not, which I'm not very involved on social media, so I guess I don't know what she was talking about, but apparently there's a skinny trend versus like don't build muscle, where I'm like, why are we
Yeah.
not, wait a minute, why are we not building muscle anymore? Why
Oh,
did
I
we
think it's
stop?
like it's this feeling of, you know, it could be a little bit of the Ozempic GLP-1
Oh, yeah.
influence too,
Yeah.
but there is the like skinny talk is a thing. I don't know if you've heard of that, but
No.
like there's like a whole hashtag, not to like send people there, but you know, it feels like culturally like we are almost coming back to early 2000s in some ways where
Oh,
we're seeing the trend of celebrities, if you will, or I don't know if people are putting fitness influencers in this category necessarily, but we're seeing the trend of like the very
yeah.
skinny come back into style. You know,
Gotcha.
I think Kardashians lead the way a lot of times with
Yeah.
like Kardashians and J Lo, and we had more curves, and that became more popular, and muscle became really popular. And I think we are now seeing women and celebrities just trying to go back to like skinny.
Yeah.
And so I am seeing that talked about more. I don't know if it's necessarily don't gain muscle, but I think unfortunately that's something we've never gotten away from in this society
I
is
know.
just
Yeah.
that's striving to be thin at any cost. And
Yeah.
unfortunately there's not enough women who care about muscle. Even at our age, Danica, like a lot of women come to me and they're still trying to chase that like low body weight
Yeah.
versus the prioritization of like lifting heavy and getting in enough protein and really thinking about how muscle impacts like
Yeah.
the that second half of our life. It's so
Right.
so crucial. So I don't know if you follow Dr. Gabrielle
I
Lyons.
do. Yeah.
She's so incredible. I
Yeah.
love what she's doing. And
Yeah.
so I do kind of follow more of those people
Yeah.
versus the skinny influence because I'm just, despite what some people might think about me, that's not my life. I'm all
Yeah.
about like get that muscle, you know,
Yes.
be at a body weight that you're happy at, no judgment there. But I
Right.
think muscle is something we have to think about as we're
Oh
aging.
my God, especially females, especially as we're aging, as estrogen is, naturally declining, like we have to be able to protect our metabolic ability, but then also our bones and making sure
Yes.
we have that density there. And yeah, I feel like that is something I push my clients. I celebrate all of their PRs and their strength that they have. And when they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that I lifted this much. And like, yes, girl,
That's the
like
best.
that is the best feeling in the
That's
world.
That's
Yeah.
so much better than a low weigh-in. Like that
Oh
low
my
weigh-in could be
God.
you just took
Yes,
a poop, you know what I mean? Like, but you
exactly.
actually PR'd, like you did that.
You did that. You moved that weight. That's amazing.
Right.
100%. I'll always say to my girls, like, or my women, if they say, like, well, the scale didn't budge or anything like that, or I'm like, listen, if you came to me and you were like, I had the stomach bug, both ends were coming out, but I dropped 5 pounds, I'm not gonna celebrate that with you.
No,
Like, and do we want to celebrate that? That sounds miserable. But if you come
no.
at me and you were able to do five unassisted pull-ups,
Heck yeah.
yeah, like that is something that's
Exactly.
beautiful. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on Ozempic as a dietitian? And Have you had clients, I guess, that have come to you and asked you that?
You know what, I have had a couple clients who take GLP-1s. I'm not opposed to it. I
Yeah.
think there's a need for it in today's world.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think if we can help manage the obesity crisis, then
Right.
we should, but I don't think that should be the first step in the process. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of, I don't know if it's misuse of it because, someone like my mom, for instance, who is obese and was denied it through her insurance. Yeah, I see
Okay.
influencers online who are
Yeah.
my size who are taking it. So
We're
I'm like,
right.
how
Right.
is this happening?
Yeah.
So that I haven't really dove into the why on that per se,
Mm,
but um, I'm not against it. I'm not opposed to it. I think clients should definitely be working with a dietitian in conjunction with that because of the need to be making sure you're getting in enough protein and building muscle. I think a lot of people they take it, you can tell they're taking it because of, the way that they're burning through their muscle in addition
yeah.
to their fat, and you just
Right.
display a different look. And
Yes.
I've had people tell me like, as long as I'm skinny, I could care less. Like, I don't care if I'm
Mm,
having all the bad GI side effects and I can't eat and I'm going to be on the toilet for 2 hours after I eat. Like, there's some people that just don't care. So I'm
yeah.
not opposed to it, but I think you really have to like do your research on it. And I
You
think
do.
you need to be doing it in conjunction with weightlifting and ensuring
100%.
that you are eating a proper diet, which those two things should happen before you go on Ozempic
Right.
anyways. Why are you going on Ozempic first? Like,
Why?
you're gonna have to do those two things. Why don't y'all just try that first, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not, people still want the quick fix.
Of
What
course.
I'm here selling isn't sexy and it's not fast,
I
you
know.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is
So,
the biggest challenge for, I guess, for the people that you speak to and for women and men, where getting into that, like, oh, I just have to look at my food intake, my nutrition, and my movement. What do you think stands between them and actually doing that? Like, what's the biggest thing that you've seen?
uh, I think a lot of people want they want the results without doing the work, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest. There's kind of this weird perception, like if I just want it bad enough, I can have it. If I buy the right coach, if I get the right
Mm,
program, if I buy the gym membership, if I get the supplements,
yeah.
poof, it's going to happen for me.
Right.
And a lot of people aren't willing to change their lives in a
Yeah.
way that allows them to see the results that they think that they want or say that they want, and they probably do truly want.
Right.
Um, so I see a lot of people who aren't really willing to unpack that. And that's something that like you've done for a long time in your coaching is work on the mindset piece of things.
Mm,
And I think a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't
no.
necessarily want to come to terms with why their lifestyle habits are how they are.
Yeah.
Because it's beyond just the macros that you're on or the meal plan or the coach you're working with. Like, you have to really check your ego and be willing to say, well, why am I going to the fridge every night and
Yeah.
binging a bunch of food? Or
Yeah.
why can't I get myself to the gym ever? Like, you have to really be willing to dive into that and be
Yeah.
willing to go through the discomfort of changing your life. And that sometimes means giving up things that you don't want anymore and that
Yeah.
feels uncomfortable, or not surrounding yourself around people who don't support your goals.
Right.
And it's an actual lifestyle change. We say it all the time,
All the
but it's
time.
not easy work. And I think most people do still want that quick result, and a lot of people are going to give up and not see like the little wins of the things they do
Yeah.
either. This is the other thing that I chronically see, is that people are so they want the fast results that they're not willing to actually like acknowledge and give themselves the credit that they deserve for all the little changes that they're doing that actually do add up to big things over time if they
Yeah.
didn't just
Yeah.
quit when it
Right.
gets
Right.
hard, you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely. What keeps you accountable?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I think I've had a whole different perception, I think, with with Jason, with his health, and he
Yeah.
struggled with it for a long time, but having Lyme disease and other health issues,
Yeah.
I've seen firsthand, and you understand this when you're not necessarily in control of your body and your choices anymore. When you have to and try to show up for your body in a certain way and you still don't feel the desired results.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like he is someone who's very disciplined, can do all the right things for his body, and he can still feel like junk.
Yeah.
But he still pushes himself through.
Yeah.
That's given me a different perspective for my
Mhm.
body and appreciated it outside of just like having to look a certain way or weigh a certain number. I
Yeah.
feel like I've gained a different respect for the body that I live in, this one vessel that we are granted to live in. And so I think I take care of myself differently now because I think about him. I think about all the people that have health issues and have it a lot fucking harder than I do.
Mm.
I am privileged to not have to worry about how many carbohydrates I eat right now and how that's going to show up in my blood sugar.
Right.
Like I'm not saying that's not something I don't think about in the big picture, but for me, I take that health perspective with my life, and
Yeah.
that's what keeps me accountable. Whereas
Yeah.
in my younger years, it was all about wanting to look a certain way. Obviously, I want to feel my best, and that's really important, but that definition of what feels my best is a lot different than what it used to be in terms of taking care of myself. Like sometimes it's not pushing harder on cardio. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
I need to rest tonight. I need to let my mind wind down. I need to
Yeah.
do more recovery and just taking care of myself in a different way. I do think it's just more health focused for me, and that doesn't I know that doesn't come easy for everyone. And
Mhm.
I think the influence of my husband really shifted that for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can obviously understand that.
Yeah,
It definitely, I think that has always been in my mind, and I've always said that ever since I was
yeah,
little. Like, why would we? I don't understand. There's this one body that we have and one life that we get to live. And like, I'm not saying that like there aren't days that I take for granted this body. I certainly have,
right. We're
but
human.
like, I mean, there are things beyond my control and Jason's control and other people like where I don't know, it gives you that perspective of like, oh shit, like I have power of choice and
Yeah,
I can choose the very difficult and I can choose to run this vessel into the ground, I guess, or
yeah,
not,
yeah,
right? Like, and every single decision that we make, that is our choice and taking that responsibility. That's a pretty hefty responsibility, right? Like you're in charge of a body and brain and all the
yeah,
things, like, but what a beautiful honor that is too, to like
yeah,
have the option and have the power of choice. And I think sometimes we need that perspective or we need to see it from a different angle in order for it to like fire up inside of us too. That doesn't
yeah.
mean every day you're going to feel fired up, but
No, for sure,
yeah.
for sure. I definitely feel like that is a big push for me though is just
Yeah.
especially like getting older, like I don't, obviously this wouldn't have been my answer in my 20s, but like
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
older and like waking up and like
Mhm.
my knees hurt a bit and sometimes
Yeah.
my back hurts, and so it's
Yeah.
just I'm very grateful for this body and I see it differently, and for years
Yeah.
all I did was speak down to it, and so being able to
Mm.
change my perception of my body, whereas before all I saw is the things that weren't good enough,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I just don't look at my body in that same way. So I've shifted my appreciation for my body, and that, has helped me stay accountable, and
Yeah.
and just the mental health benefits of it. Like, I definitely feel those mental health benefits of working out and how it makes me feel, and notice the difference between the days that I show up for myself in those ways versus the times that I don't. And it's two
Yeah.
different versions of me. And I much prefer the version who like follows through on what I say I'm going to do for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say to my clients often, like, I'm not in the business of you creating false promises to yourself. And
Hmm.
if you're going to make a promise to yourself, you better commit to that promise because your body is
Right.
going to either start to trust you more or not trust you, right? And it's going to show
Yeah.
up in ways that you wanted to or not. And
Right.
that's really that mindset shift, the promises we make to ourselves, and then committing to those promises and the follow through is really important. And even the shift that you just said with like more health. Yes, you can still have aesthetic goals and you can still want like the visual impact of everything. Of
Hmm.
course you can. That has value
Yeah.
and a place for it, right? But it isn't the entirety of it.
Right.
I just had a client text me and say an interesting thing happened to her. She sat down and she just said, "What if my stomach is just the way that it's gonna be. It's gonna be like this forever, and like that is okay. And I won't see a six pack, and I'm okay with that. What if this is like, this is what it is?" And she said, after she sat with that, she felt this huge like weight, almost like her body said to her, "Thank you. Thank you for
Mm.
just letting me be where I'm at right now. Thank you
Hmm.
so much for just accepting me where I'm at." And she was like, that I've never experienced that like a breath and where like
Oh,
it wasn't like you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Like her body was just like, "Thank you." Like and that's huge. Like just that little exercise of like acceptance and permission to just be where you're at in the moment, like just accept it. Our body will feel that. Every cell will experience that and be able to be
yeah.
like, "Hey, thanks, dude." Like
Yeah.
that's all I've been asking for.
Truly, what a beautiful breakthrough to have
Right?
like that. Because I'm sure you see this too, but so many of the women that I work with, they're so mean to themselves. Like
Yes.
really, just these aren't my words, but they feel like they're broken, like
Yeah.
they just feel like there's no helping me, like there's no, and what they see in their body, they can't say a nice thing about themselves.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was something big you always taught me too, was like, what are you grateful for? When you're wanting to sit
Yeah.
here and be all wrapped up in what the scale said and how you're feeling, let's go to gratitude,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
think not enough people lean into what we're grateful for. And so we focus
No.
so much on what we don't have or don't have yet or
Yeah.
don't think we can have. And if we just allowed ourselves to be okay in where we're at today, like have that sigh of relief, like allow your body to just be how it is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
calm that nervous system down a
Oh
bit.
my God, absolutely. I see it play out even, I think like we don't realize the impact of obviously, well, we do and we don't. We don't realize the actual impact of our internal dialogue, what we say to
Mm,
ourselves and the narratives and how it does impact every cell. And we can see it though. I see it with like my girls. If I am constantly on them of like, "Hey, why didn't you get your socks on? Why don't you have your book bag ready? Why didn't you make your bed?" Like almost saying, "You're not good enough, you're not good enough, do better, do better, do better." The way that they show up in life is
mm,
very anxious. They're very high, like they're tense. They're not going to be productive. Like there's no way
right.
that they're going to be like, "I can't wait to thrive." Like they're
No,
not going to.
no, they're going to be in survival mode, right?
Right, 100%. So understanding like that plays like if those words are strong to another entity, they're just as strong, if not stronger, to me, myself, as I'm saying that to myself. So I'm
Hmm.
always trying to tell people, I'm a very visual person, but like take yourself out of your body for a second. And if you were to communicate with your body, like how would your body respond back? Would it be like, "Can I have a hug?" Or would it be like, "I'm so scared of you. What are you going to tell me now?" Like, what are you going to do to me now? Like,
Yes,
what would it
that's,
do?
yep.
Um, it's just an important exercise for us to be able to reflect and be like, "Oh shit, I'm actually like the villain here,
Yeah,
talking nasty to myself." Yeah, because
right,
that's doing you good. How's that working out for you? Like,
right.
right, you're not, it's funny how you have changed that narrative. And I know that not every day is like that, but you notice it, you're aware of it, you notice it, you have the ability and tools to change it. Clearly, it's impacted how your productivity is, how you show up for yourself and in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't you feel like that is a huge piece that almost needs to happen first for so many? With
100%.
like you can have these goals and want to lose weight or want to do the competition, but I just think that's such an important piece that really does need to get prioritized first that
Yes,
so many can be resistant to because they don't you don't get that side effect of stepping on a scale and seeing weight loss. Like you don't get
yes,
that same immediate uh, validation, if you will. But I feel like
right.
the mindset piece, that's truly what needs to happen first.
First,
The way you speak to yourself, I am in full alignment with you that that dictates everything
it
in terms of
really
what
does.
you'll do in your life or what you won't accomplish in regards to
Yeah,
anything you touch.
absolutely. No, I find that the clients that are more successful are the ones that have come to me and said, I'm really proud of like what I've accomplished thus far here. And like these are some things that I've learned. I'm actually very happy with where things are at and not but and I'd like to see if I could take it to the next phase or I'd
Right.
like to still accomplish this. Like I'm very successful here. I'd like to take that energy that I have and productivity and then shift it into my health. There's
Hmm.
this there's this the tone of it is that they just want to continue to improve in life,
Right.
and I find that when that is their starting point and they are already speaking pretty kindly to themselves and they just want to
Yeah.
do more,
Yeah.
then that they have met themselves where they're at. They're proud of the things, they want to work on a few things, they want to make some adjustments. That sets the foundation for success. And I
Right.
don't have to work on, I don't know, like beating down the bully inside of them first and like
Yeah.
pushing it away and being like, hey, the bully can't show up for you tracking macros. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want the bully. I'm not interested in that person.
Right.
But yes, you're 100% right. That should be worked on first.
Yeah, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people don't love that part.
Hate
But
that
if you
part.
ignore
Nope.
it, that bully, it's gonna show up. Even
All
if
the
you kind
time.
of push it down for a few weeks, it's gonna show up when it gets a little
Yes.
hard and you're not
Yes.
seeing the changes you want. Then the bully
Yes.
comes out
The bully is there.
and then you either just jump ship fully. Unfortunately, I see that a
Yes.
lot of times. So
That's where I see
it's,
more all or nothing, black or
yeah,
white. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. It's not a flow. And like it's not
No.
longevity wise. Like there's not success long term.
No, no. And
Yeah.
that's always a tough thing. Like as a coach, that's something, I'm continuing to work on in ways that I can improve with just wanting to be really honest with people and not bullshit people,
Yeah.
but of course do it in a way that's respectful of um their own insecurities and how they
Yeah.
feel about themselves because so
Yeah.
many they're so insecure or lack so much confidence, which I relate to because I was her.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, but I also know you do no one any favors if you're not open and honest about how things can work or what
Yeah.
needs to be worked on. So I do try to push people in that way, which feels uncomfortable,
It
but
does. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I always lead with curiosity. I'll be like,
Hmm.
ooh, that's so interesting. If you said that to someone else, how do you think that would make them feel? Well, I would never say that to another person. Or
Right,
if
exactly.
if you say like, how has that been working out for you? But genuinely, how's it? Well, it hasn't been. Okay. So it sounds like that's an area you want to change. Like, what
Right.
do you think? Like being able, sometimes everyone, I feel most of the time has the answers inside of them.
Yeah.
It's just, empowering them to bring that out. You too always had the answer inside of you, and you were waiting for someone else to be like, do this, just do this.
Tell me. Just
Tell
tell
me
me
what
what
to
to
do.
do.
And you're like, wait a minute. It was just me that had to tell me what to do. Like, that's
Hmm.
all. And once
Yeah,
you kind of ignite that voice, I feel like it's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I've been waiting for you to like fuel me.
I know.
And then such powerful things can happen with that.
I
Yeah,
believe that. That's
it's
so
amazing.
true.
There are a few quick one questions, okay? So
Okay.
your favorite Buff Bunny leggings.
Ooh,
That's a
probably
good
I
one.
have to say, because I'm a runner, the airbrush pocket leggings. It's like a cardio
Mm.
legging with pockets. So I
Okay.
love that for running or strength training.
Love it. Your favorite Universal Studio ride.
Oh That's so hard to choose. You know, that's my favorite. The Mummy roller
The
coaster.
mummy. The mummy. Do you think it was time and place that helped you? Meaning you where you started with like YouTube? Like was everything kind of, do you feel like everything was very calculated? It was time and place that has helped you to continue to um I'm like putting words in this person's mouth, but like continue to help you be successful.
I do think it was time and place, um, because Jason was very ahead of the times. Like we were very much
Mm.
ahead of it. I will say I didn't capitalize in a way that could have really propelled me compared to other fellow fitness YouTubers who really leaned into it and did the damn thing full time and really put
Yeah.
their life out there. I was more guarded and very hesitant. So time and place helped me. And then I feel like I kind of capped out due to my lack of self-belief and where it could have gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lessons
Totally.
learned.
Less. Okay. Yeah.
Jason's always right. That's the lesson.
Jason. Yes.
Bam him.
Bam. And then last question. If you could have the stage, like a biggest stage for like the entire world, and you could give them like your, I guess, words of wisdom or words of advice, whatever you want to call it, inspiration thing, what would it be that you feel has been a belief now that you have that continues to show up and keeps you going because you have accomplished so much, not just internally, but externally as well. What is like the one thing that you would say to others if like you had the mic and there's the world?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. You know, I would never
I
shut up.
know.
I think the biggest thing that has impacted me, and it's not necessarily nutrition focused, it's more confidence based because I lived so much of my life having no confidence, people pleasing, wanting to mold myself into what I thought other people wanted me to be, that it left me very, where am I going in my life type
Mhm.
feeling, you know? So I guess if I could speak to a huge group of people, I would want to say to them, like, no one is coming to save you, and you have to find a way to believe in yourself. Like, you can't create self belief from external validation or other people. Self belief is gained through discomfort and doing the hard things and taking those leaps and taking those chances on yourself, and sometimes they might be a flop, and then other times, even if they are a flop, you're going to learn beautiful things about who you are as a human and
Yeah.
what you believe in. And that,
Mhm.
for me has been the most powerful thing, I think, is pushing back on myself even when I'm like trying to be mean to myself or lacking a little confidence in something new I'm going to do. I instead reframe that to, you're nervous because you're passionate and you care, not because you're not good enough, not because you're not smart enough. It's because you care and you're excited about something and you want to do a good job. So
Yes.
I think it's just building. I would want to, I guess that's like one of my missions, is just to help women build that self-belief and that self-confidence that you can wake up every day, love who you are, love working on yourself, love looking at yourself,
Yeah.
love getting naked in front of your husband or partner. Like,
Yeah.
these are all things that we can have, but you have to do the steps to believe in yourself and push yourself.
Yeah. I love that. All of that. We're gonna put it on a billboard.
I need to get like more concise with it, but that's just,
No, I
that's my
think
new
that's so
era.
beautiful. Yeah. And knowing that the feeling of fear inside also feels the same as excitement. And I think
Yeah,
sometimes we get them confused because they feel very similar.
exactly.
Yeah. So
I
just
just heard a quote
reminding.
today from Tony Robbins. It was like the only problems we have as humans is that we think we shouldn't have any problems.
Yes.
That's just like,
Yes.
right? Doesn't that
Yes.
hit? It's like, and I see that a lot with clients I talk to too. It's like, oh, work was stressful today. And it's like, so what, dude? Like, you have to
Yeah.
have stress in your life, and like how you perceive stress too maybe
Yeah.
needs to shift a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just the mindset, I think, has really changed for me the older I've gotten.
Love
And
that.
I would love for more women to like feel that way earlier on in their life than as long as it took me
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah. My husband always says to me too, if I say like, oh, today was really hard, he'll say, good.
Yeah.
And I love that because
Yeah.
anything that I say, I'll be like,
Yep.
the kids were really challenging today. He'll say, good. And that's it though. He won't give me anything else. And I'm like, you're
He's
right.
not
I
like,
guess,
tell me more.
no, I guess that is good. Like, I'll
Yeah,
say, okay, good. Like,
that's
and
too
the
funny.
reason why it's good is because it challenges me and it's exciting and like it's hard and like, good, good.
That's very Jason.
It should be good.
It should be. Yeah, we have there's no easy if there isn't hard. There
Right.
isn't any, Jason always says there's no up if there's no down. Like you have to have
Yeah.
both of these things in your life to feel the happy. You have to have the low days too. Like
You're right.
it's not a bad thing. We shouldn't always be chasing the feeling of nothingness. That's
Yeah.
not a good way
Yes.
to live.
It's
So it's easier said than done, right? But it's always good to kind of lean into it a bit
yeah.
more.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much. I feel like I can talk so long with you. There are so
I
many
know.
like different
I know. I
ways
was
that
like,
I
there's so much more we could talk about.
there's so much more. I'm gonna have to have you on again.
I would love
I
that.
just have so much more. I like have questions I didn't even like. There's so much more that I know. But thank you so much. You are just like a radiant energy
Oh,
in everyone's life that like they come in contact with you. You influence so many. Um, yeah, you're just an amazing woman, like inside and out. And to watch like from an outsider looking in to watch you grow and evolve has been beautiful. Like I've reached out to you and been like, tell me how 40 is, like how it is. Tell me it's gonna
we
be
love it over here.
okay. What is it gonna be like? And you're always there for me. You're always like, yeah, girl, it's fucking great. It's gonna be amazing. You got this.
Yes.
But yes, you're incredible and you're inspiring so many people and I'm very grateful to have you in my life and in everyone else's. I'm grateful for them that you're there.
Oh, Danica, I love you so much. I'm
Love
grateful for
you.
you. I'm
Yeah.
grateful you came into my life when you did, as rocky of a time of self-exploration as that was for me. We've come out the other side
Yeah.
and it feels good
Yeah.
to be here. And I'm so glad to still have you in my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, where can people find you, follow you, all the things?
All the things. I am Kara Corey Fit Life on Instagram as well as YouTube. I don't really do the TikTok much, but if you're a
Yep.
TikToker, Kara Corey RD.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you, everybody. And we'll have you on again. Until
Okay.
next time.